Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to get started now. First of all, I want to say welcome everyone to the Berkeley Global Virtual Fair. My name is Dr. Henry Tsang, and I'm the Director of Global Pre-Collegiate Programs at Berkeley Global at UC Berkeley. Today, our topic is going to be getting a world-class education at the gateway to Silicon Valley. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and so you can see my slides. Here we go. And if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A box, but I'll probably go through the discussion and then ask Mike and answer your questions later as we go. Okay, so first of all, everybody's going to talk about their university and nobody's going to say their university is not very good. But today I brought some evidence, and I think some of this information might actually be surprising to you. So first of all, I want to ask the question that you might be thinking, why study abroad? Well, obviously you can learn from world-class teachers. There are teachers out there, professors that you know of in different parts of the world that you really want to see what they have to teach and learn about from them. Another part is to strengthen your resume, right? I mean, obviously, you want to see that you want to show the courses you've taken, you want to show the institutions you've attended. This could be good for a graduate school application. It could be great for looking for a job, right? And so the third thing is you want to experience the best of US education. Now, granted, we're in a difficult time now. A lot of things are done online as opposed to in person. But I think there's still a reason why we want to spend some time doing this. You have to ask yourself, this is a tough year, right? We have all these COVID-19 travel restrictions. Maybe this is just a time to relax, wait a year. Maybe this isn't you should take a pause on life, take a year off. The thing is, when you apply to grad school, apply for a job, I'm sure someone's going to ask you the question, so what did you do in 2020, the year that there was the global pandemic? And, some people, you're going to find out, and we know this because people are doing this, is they'll say, well, it was a tough time, but I learned advanced finance, I learned data science, I learned to code better. And so there are people out there gaining skills and using this opportunity. So maybe that's something you want to consider. I mean, you could go to a job interview and say, well, I watched all those movies on Netflix I couldn't see before, played lots of video games, right? Maybe, sometimes that might be useful, but, if you can learn something, I think the opportunity is certainly nice to take advantage of. Okay, so let's take a look at where should you study? What does the Berkeley name mean on your resume, on your CV? So now we're talking about a question of academic reputation, right? What do people think about the institution, UC Berkeley? And also, what do they think would be the special experiences involved in studying at UC Berkeley? And so I'm going to talk for a moment about rankings. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't, but I figure I just kind of, make sure we're all starting from the same place. So we all know US news, obviously, and we're probably more familiar with the national rankings, right? The national rankings put Berkeley also very high up in the low 20s. In fact, the national rankings, the main criteria is graduation rate. So if your students have a higher rate, 99%, 98% of graduating, that puts you higher up in ranking. Now, obviously, graduation rate's very important. I'm not sure everyone would say it's the most important. I mean, what if your university is just easy? If it's easy to graduate, some schools, just everyone who goes in, they finish. Berkeley, it's still very, very high, of course, but I don't know if there's a difference between a 93 and a 95%. But that's, once again, the number one weight for national rankings. Same publication, US News, which we trust, has a best global universities ranking. This is just very simple. They want to know, what is the academic reputation of every university? And they compared 1,500 universities in 60 countries around the world. And what they did was they professors around the world and say, these are the schools, put them in order of their reputation. What do you think? Now, I think this has a lot of value because when you're talking about where you study and you're applying to graduate school, for instance, the reputation that the people who are reading these applications, that's going to make a difference for you, right? It's going to affect your ability to get in. So here it is, the rankings. we are very happy at Berkeley that we are able to be one of the tops in the world. But more importantly, we're so happy that we're the top public university. I mean, it's almost amazing, right? To think among all these top private universities that a public university can kind of slip in there and stay up there year after year. I think that's a kind of an amazing situation. And so at Berkeley, we're kind of proud about that, you know, the funding sources aren't the same as privates, but we still maintain that quality year after year, in fact. How do we do that? Well, let's see. Well, Berkeley, I think I would say we have world-class teachers, but I'm not going to tell you that the other universities on the list don't have world-class teachers. I think, you know, obviously there's excellent instructors around the world, but I do think there's a difference. I'm going to focus first on geography. Now, here's a college town, very, very excellent university, you know, close to nature. If you're a student, you can spend time, you know, walking through the woods, thinking about the world and science and everything. Now, if you don't have a car, it might be hard to kind of get to a big city, but it's kind of a nice little, you know, environment, ecosystem where you can stay in there. I want to say this is not the Berkeley experience. When you go to Berkeley, oh wait, this looks like a blank slide, right? Well, because I want you to focus for a second on this is the background of my slides, right? So at the bottom, you see, this is the UC Berkeley campus, but right across the bay on the other side, that's San Francisco. You know, you cross a bridge and there you are. To the left a little bit down the road, you have Silicon Valley. So we are in a very, very different place. I think it's still beautiful, but maybe in a slightly different way. You go to San Francisco and of course, you know, across the bridge, you have the big city, you know, very modern, very advanced. The nice thing about Berkeley is you can take the subway, we call it the BART, right at the front of the school. And even if it's hard for you to get around, which is sometimes the case for international students, transportation, you know, there's a lot of public transportation in the area. Let me show you some more photos. Here's the Berkeley campus on the right. You can see far off in the distance, the Golden Gate Bridge, right? The Golden Gate Bridge, there's statistics that show it is the one object in the world that people take more photos of than any other objects in the world. So that is on a clear day, you can see right across and see that. Berkeley, of course, San Francisco, you have the culture, right? Global cultures. If you want different food from around the world, there's so many choices, right? It's really authentic. It's a place where in the United States where so many people from different parts of the world come. Now, I know some of you might be sports fans, Golden State Warriors. You can go see an NBA game. The Golden State Warriors just built a $1 billion stadium. This is the most expensive basketball stadium in the world. And you might ask, why do you have to build a $1 billion basketball stadium? I'm not sure you do, but it's probably because of all the Silicon Valley CEOs that like to go see the games, right? So, you know, that's kind of another thing about the area. But I will say, even though we are kind of, you know, you have the big city environment, we're also not that far from nature. On the left, you see Yosemite National Park. On the right, you have the California coastline. This is not far. You know, these are places you can get to within a day to go visit. So we have our, you know, nature as well. So this is a we don't think we give up any of this as well. You know, obviously you travel a little bit, but this is not the main Berkeley strength. Let's talk about the main Berkeley strength, right? This is kind of the focus of my talk, Silicon Valley. Without Berkeley and Stanford, there is no Silicon Valley. The companies you go to Silicon Valley, if you look at all their different levels, you're going to see the founders from Berkeley, you're going to see managers, you're going to see employees, and so many of them are graduates. You know, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak attended Berkeley. Eric Schmidt, longtime chairman of Google, attended Berkeley. And Berkeley every year sends thousands of, well, not every, but over the years have sent thousands of graduates to all of these companies. And we're talking about a lot of these companies, right? And also what might benefit a student is that it goes both ways. If you go to Berkeley and you look at the introductory computer science course, well, the professor, John De Niro, is an excellent instructor. Well, guess what? He worked at Google and was one of the first people to develop Google Translate. This is before anyone else was doing AI to translate languages. So it goes both ways. We're sending our graduates there. They're bringing top experts to our classrooms to help the next generation of students. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Berkeley professors. Obviously, look, all professors in the world, they can teach course content. If you take a class on finance, if you take a class on computer science, professors are going to be able to teach that content. But our professors have a different experience, and they can expose you to a whole different level of knowledge. Okay, highest level of knowledge, right? Research is the Nobel Prize. Each year, there are studies that kind of keep account of where Nobel Prize winners come from. Where did they graduate from? Where do they teach? So let me show you the list. And here are the Nobel Prize winners by university. Once again, when we look at this list, we are just so thrilled that you can see a public university in the world reach up among the tops, right? I mean, public universities have, don't have the, financial advantages in some cases. So now you have to think, well, wait a minute, 107 Nobel Prizes, that's pretty good. Now, was that a long time ago? Is it recent? Well, let me tell you about the recent situation of Berkeley. In the past 20 years, since the year 2000, Berkeley alumni and faculty have won 36 Nobel Prizes in the sciences and economics. They've also won 14 Fields Medals for math. That's like the Nobel Prize for math, 25 Turing Awards for computing, 20 Academy Awards, 117 Olympic gold medals. I want to kind of point out the picture on the right is the parking space at the center of Berkeley, right? Parking on any university is hard to find, but Berkeley is one of the universities that we respect our Nobel Prize winners. They give them a really good prime parking space right in the middle of campus. And it's actually hard to, have these spaces, right? If you have no one to use it. It's funny, most of the people say that most of the cars that are parked in these spaces are very simple cars. They're not like fancy, expensive cars. So I guess Nobel Prize winners are like regular people too. But now I'm going to talk to you about something that probably affects you even more directly. Another situation, which is, here's a report. Berkeley bachelor's degree graduates have started more companies than graduates of any other university in the world. Okay, let's think about this for a second. More than any other university in the world. Now, I'm going to give you the exact details of the numbers in a moment, but let me walk you through, some of the why this is the case. Now, I will say Berkeley has a natural advantage. We're in the state of California. And if you're not familiar, the state of California is definitely leading a lot of areas in terms of technology, a lot of new startup corporations happening. Here's a chart. If you were to look at the GDP, gross domestic product by country, if California were a country, it would be the 5th highest GDP in the world, $3.1 trillion in 2019. So there's a lot going on here. If you're thinking you want to work here at some point, there seems to be a lot of opportunities that might be there for you, right? I will say a lot of this GDP, a lot of this economic activity is coming from one particular part of California, right? Which kind of leads to my talk, which is Silicon Valley. On the left, yes, I do mean Silicon Valley, the area. These are so many companies. Actually, if you actually try to put in all the companies in Silicon Valley, there's just no way it would fit in because this is just a small fraction of the companies that actually have headquarters there. On the right, the popular HBO show, right, Silicon Valley. I actually mean both when I refer to Silicon Valley, right? Because if you think about this, what is Silicon Valley known for? People know it for the tech companies, but actually a lot of people who are not in the area may not realize it's also one of the best places to find money to start a company. There's a lot of venture capital companies out there, and you have to think of what happened. Many years ago, there were these investors who put their money into companies like Apple, Google, Facebook. They started these companies, and suddenly these investors earn, billions of dollars. So now what do these investment companies do? Well, they have so much money, now they're looking for the next company to start. So if you're in Silicon Valley and you have a good idea, there's probably no place in the world better that you're going to find someone to say, hey, we want to pay you $1 million. We want to pay you money to take your idea and make it into a company. That is a unique situation with Silicon Valley. And how does that affect the universities? Let's go to this next slide. And this is what I was talking about before. These are the number of companies founded by Berkeley graduates of top universities. UC Berkeley, #1 in the world. This is not a US chart. This is a world university chart. $14 billion raised over the past about 10 years. So this is a good place to have a good idea, right? And even if you're not the person with a good idea, maybe some of your classmates have a pretty good idea, right? How about being in the class room and you're taking a class and the person next to you comes up with the idea to start a company? Wouldn't you like to get in on the beginning of one of these companies? So these are some advantages of our location. Now, I will say this, Harvard MBAs, they found a lot of companies, and so MBA graduates, a lot of them, they were already maybe executives at corporations. But when I show you this chart as being bachelor's degree graduates, that means UC Berkeley has more people who are 22 years old and graduate from Berkeley, and at some point, in the next part of their life, they start a company. So that's amazing. This is, lots of young, exciting, energy going on through our classrooms. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about how this affects you, right? Because this is nice, people starting companies, but really, let's be practical. How does it affect you? So I'm going to talk about career opportunities. What happened is earlier in the week, you might have heard there was a keynote that Randeep gave about internships, right? We believe very strongly that, look at where we are. You should be getting internships. You shouldn't just be taking classes. You should get yourself into companies, learn some really good real world experience. But I'm going to talk to you about two other things you may or may not be familiar with. One is OPT, optional practical training. This means that with your student visa, you're allowed to work 1 to 3 years at a job after graduation. So you don't have to even apply for a work visa. Just because you've finished your program, you can go and actually work for a real salary. Now, the next step is, for some people, if the companies you work with really like you, maybe they sponsor a work visa for you. Now, if you get a work visa sponsored for you, now you're in a great position, right? You have a job, you can stay in the US, as long as you keep doing well, you can basically keep working as long as you want, as long as you're performing well at the company. This is where I go back to the question of the college town, right? Because there's a lot of wonderful universities that are a college town. How do you do these things? Is it convenient for you to do internships, OPT? I mean, what is your access to these companies? So this is something you really have to think for yourself about. I know we study abroad, we're taking classes, but at Berkeley, we always try to think about the next step. Where can you go from there? What's the next level that you might be able to get to? So we think we have some opportunities that might not be available in some other places. I'm going to talk about work visas again for a second. Here is a chart, 2019, where people are getting jobs. Okay, so you can see the ranking of the state of California, Texas, New York, New Jersey. On the right, this is a number of H-1B visas sponsored by companies. So how do you get sponsored? Well, probably you had an internship, probably you did an OPT, and then at that point they're saying, hey, we like your work, we want you to stay with us, we're going to go through the process of applying for a work visa for you. And this is a big deal for a company because it's a lot of work to get your work visa. You can see companies in the state of California has sponsored more H-1B visas than the second place state, Texas, right? And the other thing you notice is that the average annual salary, $115,000, also the highest in the United States. So when we talk about studying at Berkeley, this is all kind of part of the path, right? You take your classes, you learn a skill, and then hopefully you have an opportunity to apply that skill. and so much of what we teach at Berkeley, we're always thinking about this. Our professors are thinking about this. Our professors have sent so many students, so many international students from different parts of the world to great jobs. So we want to keep doing that. That is definitely part of our mission that we're trying to do. Now I'm going to show you the next slide, which talks about OPT. Here is categories of international students. Okay, this is something that's compiled by IEE every year. This is how many students are on student visas, essentially. You have non-degree, that's yellow, that's a pretty good number. You have undergraduates, of course, is the most. You have graduate students, that's kind of high. The last couple of years, if you see 2017, 2018, 2019, it's kind of flat a little bit. But these are large numbers, right? We're at 300, 400,000 in this case. I want you to look and focus on optional practical training, OPT, for a second. Look at the growth here. Look at the growth in OPT over the last couple of years. We're at, for 2019, we're at 223,000. These are students who have finished their classes and probably they did an internship. They're now working at an American company for a regular salary for 1 to 3 years. Look at these numbers. That means American companies are very eager to hire international students, graduates. Right? Look at this growth. I mean, if you go back to 1999, 2000, 2001, I mean, this number on the left, it's a very small number, right? You're talking about a few thousand. For this number, OPT, to go up to 223,000, that means these companies are literally waiting. They're going to the career fairs at Berkeley. They're going to at these universities and say, hey, you just took a class in finance and data science. You just took a classes in coding or whatever. You graduated from these programs. We want you to come work for us. We will give you a regular salary, and probably, you saw the H-1B numbers before, we're probably gonna try to keep you. So, studying abroad is great, but why not study abroad when the institution you're at is basically surrounded by companies that's looking to get you in a job? And this is what we see where we work in the Silicon Valley area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's what we see all around us. It's like, as much as we bring in lots of students, we see just as many companies who are eager and say, hey, do you have more great students? Do you have students with this knowledge? Do you have students with that knowledge? So that's what's amazing opportunity, I think, that is separate, different. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you the other top universities are not great in terms of the classes, but I'll let you compare the opportunities. Okay, to be even more direct, when it comes to OPT, Berkeley Global Professional Program. So we have a virtual fair here, and there's different rooms that you can go to, and you can talk to advisors in a lot of different programs. You're going to find out a lot of the Berkeley programs that's available to you. Now, this is not the case where you have to apply to Berkeley and get in as a 4-year undergraduate student, right? That's a long process. But you can come to a short-term program. You study for 2 semesters, project management, UX, UI, that's user experience, right? You learn how to do design for computer applications, finance, marketing, data science. You do 2 semesters of these programs in Berkeley. You are eligible for OPT. That means there are students, they come to United States, they study at Berkeley for 2 semesters. Next thing you know, they're working in the United States for the next 3 years, okay, alongside American workers. And if they do a good job, next thing you know, the companies are applying for them to work long-term. So like I said, if you compare universities, you can't just compare courses, right? You have to start comparing what else do they offer beyond that. Let's go to the next slide. So let's go back to questions I had asked before, or comments I talked about before. Why would you study abroad? Learning from world-class teachers. I think you can say Berkeley certainly meets that standard, right? Does it strengthen your resume, your grad school application? Well, I think that's about academic reputation, so we'll check that box too, so we're probably good on that. The next is, can you experience the best in US education? I think we're in a pretty good place on that one as well. The last one, which I didn't add before, I'm gonna add now. find a job in the US. I think a lot of people who think study abroad, it's a dream. Well, maybe I'll get a job. As I talked about today, I don't think it's a dream. There is a path. The teachers, the instructors that are in this fair today, the people I work with every day, this is what we do. We think about how do we teach you real world, very important, valuable knowledge, and then how do we take the next step? How do we find you internships and opportunities where you actually can be placed in that dream job? Like I said, not every place has the same opportunity, but for Berkeley Global, it's what we've been doing for many, many years now. So lots of alumni, lots of former students out there working in Silicon Valley, really happy with that. Okay, thank you very much. I can take questions now if you have them. But also, don't forget, you can join some of our virtual meeting rooms and speak to our advisors, learn more about these opportunities in detail, right? Everybody is in a different situation, so maybe you want to kind of touch base on that. Okay, thanks. See in Q&A, what is the price for a semester? Well, it depends on every program. So that is probably a situation where you can go to different rooms for the program. Typically speaking, all of the programs are going to be lower than the cost than compared to if you enroll in UC Berkeley directly. But every program is slightly different. It obviously varies as far as what kind of, how many courses you take every semester, right? Let's see, what are the placement for certificate programs at Berkeley, like data analytics courses, just 6 weeks? So, you know, there's different aspects of placement, right? I mean, a lot of our students, they can select to have internships. And so in that case, our teachers are going to actually talk to companies and try to get you placed. But once again, the details of every program, you can go to our individual meeting rooms to talk about that. But for the most part, our mindset is we want to get you placed. And that's what entire departments, Randeep spoke on Monday, we have entire departments, that's what we're focused on. Data analytics, these are areas where students, you know, where companies absolutely have a need for people with these skills. Okay, my next question here is, do you suggest me start a career in data science? Well, I mean, I think there's two sides of it, right? I mean, the short answer is yes, of course. There's so much demand in data science. If you like data science, you know, data science, you have a little bit of the statistics, the coding. So there's kind of the, you know, instead of pure coding, right? You're talking about kind of the coding, adding with the data and statistics element. There are so many needs now, right now. I mean, right now you're looking with COVID-19, right? So many models out there right now for how many people are going to catch the disease. What are the multipliers you should have in terms of being able to predict the spread of the illness? There are so many places right now realizing, wait a minute, to answer real world problems, we need people with this skill set. And here's the thing, there aren't enough people with these skill sets. That's why you see the OPT numbers so high. And by the way, they're all in these areas. They're all in this type of area. So certainly that I think that's a good area to go. But once again, we have advisors in specifically those fields that can give you more detail. Okay, or MIT, Berkeley has 10 times. Let's see, 10 times than MIT. Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to say a school like MIT is not a great university. Obviously, they're wonderful as well. I will say, once again, for us, it is so convenient. I mean, we have students that hop on a subway, we call BART, from where we are. I mean, granted, right now, obviously, the courses are online this semester, but you know, you can think about next semester. You can think about, you know, starting a program initially online and then taking another semester in person, come to the Bay Area. But the big difference is, where are we? You know, if you're at Berkeley, the companies are right there. And there's a convenience, right? That's going to be very easy. If you're at MIT, you're going to find that there's obviously lots of opportunities in the Boston area. But a lot of times what's going to happen is your career fairs, you have Silicon Valley companies going over there. And then you're thinking, okay, now I'm going to have to move across the country. There's obviously an inconvenience factor there compared to studying. I'm starting my career after 13 years break. I think that's exactly what the professional programs are trying to do. I mean, look, there are people who have they've been working for the past 10, 15 years, and they're thinking, I'm not going to go back and be an undergraduate again. And that's exactly what the professional programs are for, right? You're going to see other people who have that work experience. They've been maybe a middle management level in a company, so they have some experience, but they've worked with people. And yes, Berkeley, we love people who have kind of, had that experience, and it adds something to the classroom that's different than, if everyone was, undergraduate. I mean, undergraduate's wonderful. I mean, both of it is wonderful, but yes, Berkeley is, in many ways, some of our programs are exactly focused on people like that in your situation. Let's see, okay, let's see. How easy is switch majors at UC Berkeley, switching to CS from another major? So that depends on the department. Berkeley CS is a very popular major, so it's a little bit tricky to apply, switch. If you're already in Berkeley, then you're gonna have to go to a department. I know there's some requirements, like if you get good grades in the first couple CS classes that you take. So that's something that probably need to talk to specifically the CS department. But yes, people can switch. If you don't think you can switch to CS, I know a lot of students, they switch to data science or something else where they're learning pretty much just as much coding, but they also are able to, get into the major a little bit easier. Okay. What are the recruitment requirements? GPA, TOEFL. Every program has a different requirement in terms of TOEFL, GPA, because it's a different situation. So once again, lots of advisors there to kind of give you specific information there. I think we have programs for people in many situations, right? It's in many cases we're not going to, have the same requirements as what we would expect for an 18-year-old undergraduate, right? I mean, because if you're a professional, it's just different. Okay, is there a difference between Berkeley and Berkeley Extension regarding professional certifications? Well, Berkeley Extension is the department of Berkeley that provides most of the professional certifications. There may be others as far as UC Berkeley, but you're in the right place, I think, if you are looking for professional certifications. I mean, I recommend you can go on our websites, talk to your advisors, and see if what we have is what you need, because that's what we do. We do professional certifications for our students. And yes, data science, absolutely one of them. Okay, let's see, I'm jumping back and forth between two areas. How can undergraduates apply for a foreign semester in UC Berkeley? We have a global access program, and it is perfect for students who want to study for a semester program at UC Berkeley. This is every year we have so many students, they come, they're taking classes. If you're in the semester program, you're taking classes with UC Berkeley students, with UC Berkeley instructors, professors. So yeah, you get very much the full experience. The nice thing is UC Berkeley Global, we're here to kind of really help you with the application process to get you in, talk to you about transferring credits and things like that. So yes, in fact, if you are an undergraduate student, you want to study a semester at UC Berkeley, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, whatever year you are in the right place. And we have advisors right now. I mean, you can start talking to them about your situation. Okay, then you come over here. You said it's pandemic time. Should I join in 2021? I think it's data science in both classroom and online? Well, I mean, let's think of it this way. The whole world is kind of in an online situation right now, right? No matter what universities you're dealing with, you're probably dealing on an online situation for 2020. So if you're going to wait, then you're kind of sitting out the semester. And some of you might say, well, why should I sit out a semester? 2020, this fall, I have time, or next semester, I have time. So absolutely, I recommend it for you. The nice thing about Berkeley Global is we have live online courses. Live online means we have been teaching these courses for so many years, and we have done it in a we have, ways of teacher interacting with students. We have materials that's designed perfectly to deal with online. We have small class sizes. You're not in a class with 1,000 students. You're not with a professor who's like, oh my goodness, I've never taught an online course. Suddenly I'm doing online. That's not going to happen here. These are instructors who are ready to teach in this method. And we think that effect is just the same. What you learn, the content, will not be reduced because you're doing live online courses. And when you have instructors who are basically have that experience, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be very good. So no, I don't think you have to wait, right? I don't feel like you have to wait because certainly, the programs are available for you. But at the same time, we'll be looking for students after, the whole COVID-19. Berkeley is going to be one of those schools that's right out there opening up our campuses when the situation is better. Okay, if you're a freshman, take the Berkeley Global, right. We have an answer here, take the Berkeley Global Program for Freshmen. Help me in choosing MIT and Berkeley. MIT has MicroMasters in Math and Statistics. Wow, I mean, what do I have to do here, right? I have to say, MIT is not as good as Berkeley. Yes, MIT is not as good as Berkeley. I'll just say it right there. I'm not sure if I should be saying that, right? If you're studying math and statistics, and by the way, I've taught statistics, here's the thing you have to think about. I think the material in all of these universities, these are top universities, are going to be great. But it comes down to, at the end of your courses on statistics, if you want to say, hey, Berkeley, can you help me visit some companies where they need people who have this background in math and statistics? And for us, it's like, oh, well, there happens to be, dozens of companies that basically we've sent our graduates to on internships. I mean, if we're placing you as an internship in a company that needs that statistics requirement, these are companies we've been working with for years. So I would say that's the difference. The course, is MIT going to teach something that Berkeley instructors just don't know? I don't think that's going to be the case. I think these are top institutions. They're going to be similar. So I think that's the biggest things. Let me take a look. I have an SAT with 1100. Can I apply for data science at UC Berkeley? So right now, obviously, we were looking at July. The undergraduate admissions is passed, but this might be a time for a Berkeley Global Freshman program, right? So if this is a situation where you still can, for this fall, get into a Berkeley Global Program for Freshman program. So once again, one of the rooms we have some advisors you can tell them exactly your situation, and they can tell you if you're going to be able to be a good match. Like I said, there's many different programs for people, different situations. If you are a freshman and you want to go into regular undergraduate, I mean, it's too late, right? For the application season's passed. But for the fall, we're still in a situation where you can jump into a program for this fall 2020. So that's something that's nice. Let's me look at some other questions. Let's see. I am the 12th. Let's see. Am I eligible to apply for data science? We have, so the freshman programs is more general classes, although it does include statistics, it includes calculus and things. But yes, there are programs for professional students as well, but those are people maybe with a bachelor's graduate. Give me genuine advice. Genuine advice. So we have certificate programs, obviously, for students who are undergraduates. It's more study abroad. It's not really a certificate. For professional students, we have professional certificates. So these are a couple of different categories. Like I said, you go into different rooms and you can talk to the people who can kind of look at your specific situation, right? Yeah, I would say for specific advice in your situation, yeah, I mean, we have advisors who love talking to you about that. Does UCB give scholarships to international students who want to come for a foreign semester? There may be some special situations. I would not say that for international students, there's a lot of opportunities for scholarships necessarily, but I would say the first thing you should do is find the program that matches your situation, see how that fits for you. Maybe there's different situations, maybe programs have different costs for you, right? But scholarships is typically not a common thing for international students. I won't say that it's not available, but it's a little bit different situation. Let's see. So MIT, Berkeley, different costs for data science course. You just have to figure out. I mean, sometimes you have a different cost, but you don't know what it is they're offering you, right? And you really have to look at the details and compare the details to see what those things are, what it is that is involved. A lot of times the Berkeley programs are at different costs because our class sizes are so small. I mean, there are situations where people think, oh, I'm in a low cost program at MIT or some other university, and they realize it's kind of not a it's almost not an online course. It's like a MOOC, right? You're in a class with hundreds or thousands of students. So I don't know the exact situation. I mean, one thing that we do is we keep classes small, and that really does raise the cost of the faculty. But from our perspective, you're going to learn so much more in a smaller classroom. What are the requirements into Berkeley Global Access? Well, we're looking at English requirements. It could be TOEFL, but if you don't have TOEFL, in different situations, we can do interviews and do other English evaluations. We do look at your university transcript if you are attending a university right now. So you want to be able to get that from your university. Right. So yeah, for global access, if you're studying at another university and you're doing well, then absolutely talk to one of our advisors. They can definitely see if we can find a nice program for you. Share your email with me for future guidance. Well, I will. My email, and this is kind of scary, I'm going to get a bunch of it, is my first name, last name, henry.tsang at berkeley.edu. Yeah, thank you for chatting. But yeah, please go into our rooms. I mean, we have advisor that's going to talk to you for the next couple hours, I think. Thank you. How do we apply for master's degree? So if you're talking about for degree programs, you're going to have to go to probably look into each of the departments that you're looking at, right? So if it's a full degree, you're going to find what college is the house for that program and apply for that. What we're talking about more today is like programs that are probably going to be shorter than a master's, maybe channel you into a job opportunity faster, right? And of course, some of our programs, especially for undergraduates, you might do a global access or something, and then we're going to help you apply to masters, and you're also building up your resume to get into a master's, right? We provide advising for how you strengthen your master's degree application. Taking a look for, okay, please tell me any other speaker coming up for data science. Well, we don't have a specific speaker for data science. So, but we have, like I said, advisors who have, especially in the professional programs, they can tell you about what the curriculum is in data science, when you could study, what kind of opportunities you have after graduating or finishing your certificate or study abroad. So yes, we don't have another speaker specifically on data science, but still have a few people here. So I am a 12th completed student from India. I'm eligible to apply for this program. You are, if you're a 12th grade student, you are eligible. If you just finished, so if you just finished and you're interested in starting college, you are probably eligible for our global program for freshmen. And that is the first semester courses that are very similar to the courses that's available to Berkeley freshmen. Now, granted, if you're a high school graduate, we're going to be dealing with, more general education courses that help you towards your degree. But yes, the global program for freshmen is available to you. Beyond the 12th grade, if you're going to go longer in high school, then I mean, if you're going to go into college, then the global access program might be a nice fit for you. Yeah, we have Sam Smith, who's just popped in and gave you some information on global program for freshmen. So if you're at 12th grade, I say go ahead and jump over to see if you can find Sam. I think he can really, look at what your situation might be. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are interested in these. Look forward to having you guys talk to the advisors if you have any questions. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to drop off here. But like I said, there's a lot of ways to contact us. Go to our website as well. So thank you very much for listening in. I hope you got a better introduction to Berkeley than what you had understood before. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to close up the meeting.